mixture problems. So in this video, we're going to talk all about mixture problems. So I've got an example problem up here. So we have a pharmacist that needs to fill an order for a 3% lidocaine topical cream. And in stock, the pharmacist only has a 5% concentrate and a 2% concentrate. And he knows that if he combines them, he can somehow, with just the right amounts, he can somehow get a 3% concentration, which is what was ordered. So we need to get to that 3% concentration. So I know a couple things. I know that if I add up the amount of the 5%, right, you take a certain amount of the 5% concentration and add that to the 2% concentration, I want to get the 3% concentration. So we can set ourselves up a little sort of equation to kind of help us figure this out. So if we take the amount of the 5%, we take the amount of the 2%, we should get the amount of the 3%. Okay? So if I add up the amounts of the two different concentrations, I should get the amount of the 3% I have. So we know a little bit of additional information. So we know that they told us, so the question was, how much of the 5% concentrate should be mixed with 5 grams of the 2% concentrate. So the first thing I want to do when trying to solve one of these problems is figure out what my variable is going to be. And I like to let my variable be the thing they're asking me to find. So they're asking me to find how much of the 5% concentrate. So I'm going to let my variable, my unknown, be the amount of 5% concentrate. Okay. So that's my variable. X is the amount of the 5% concentrate. Okay. And then I know a couple of other things. How do you find, if you have a 5% concentrate of lidocaine and you have X amount, how do you find the amount that's in that X amount? So say, for example, let's put a number in there to make it a little bit easier. So suppose I have 100 grams of lidocaine, 5% lidocaine cream. Well, 5% of 100 is 5, so I have exactly 5 grams of pure lidocaine in that 100 grams of 5% lidocaine cream. So, to be able to find the amount of pure lidocaine, right, I would take and turn my 5% into a decimal, which would be 0.05 times the amount that I have. Okay. And then they gave us a little bit of information. They told us that we had 5 grams of the 2%. So if I have 5 grams of the 2%, how much lidocaine do I have there? It's 2% of the 5 grams, which is 2% is the same as 0.02 times 5, right? And when I multiply that, when I take the amount of lidocaine in this guy and the amount of lidocaine in this guy, I should get my 3%, right, times the total amount of cream I have, which is X, and then plus the 5 grams for the 2%. So now I have a nice equation set up to solve, and I just have to solve this guy. So I have trying to get X by itself. So I might want to multiply this 0.02 times 0.5, right? You might have to go off to the side and do a little scratch work, right? 5 times 2 gives me, we have to remember how to multiply decimals. So I get 0.1 here. Okay. All right, and then I need to get rid of these parentheses, and if you remember from our solving equation section, well, I can just use the distributive property there. And so I have 0.05 0.03x plus, and then I have to figure out what 0.03 times 5 is. And again, you do a little scratch work off to the side. That's okay. All right, so it's 0.15. Okay. And so now I just have to solve this guy for x. I've got rid of my parentheses. So to do that, I want to get all my x's on one side, so I'm going to subtract 0.03x from both sides. Ignoring my scratch work off to the side there. Okay, so 0.05 minus 0.03 gives me 0.02 or 2/100ths. And then I still have my plus, this is a 1/10, 0.1 equals 0.15. Okay, we're almost done. So now to get the x's by themselves, I have to move the 0.1, subtract the 0.1 from both sides. Okay. All right, and so I end up with 0.02x equals 0.05, and then divide on both sides by 0.02 to get the x by itself. So then we have x equals, we have to do this division, so I get 2.5. So we need 2.5 grams of the 5% lidocaine cream to be able to mix with 5 grams of the 2% cream to get our 3% cream. And how many grams would we have total? Well, we'd have the 2.5 grams of the 5% cream plus the 5 grams that they told us to take of the 2% cream gives us 7.5 grams total of a 3% concentration.